afternoon, Ms. Stoll. The topic for our debate is should schools enforce uniforms? We define the topic of this debate as should schools enforce uniforms. We, the affirmative team, believe this is true. Today, as your first speaker, I will be talking about how uniforms provide a safe school environment for students, parents, and administrators, inside and outside of school. Our second speaker will be talking about how uniforms can contribute to less tardiness, less competition, minimize pressure, and overall help students feel more at ease at school while learning. Our third speaker will provide our rebuttal and sum up our team's case. I'm going to discuss how school uniforms provide a safe learning environment for students and administrators. My first point is that school uniforms reduce violence, gang activity, bad behavior, and promote school safety. This is because when everyone looks the same, it's easier to pinpoint gang colors or intruders who are not meant to be at school. The article, Uniforms, Pros and Cons, states, uniforms at school also reduce the prevalence of violence, which is a major concern for many public schools. Outsiders who do not belong on campus are easily identified and thus do not pose a great threat to students. This further proves my point that uniforms in general make school safety better and more efficient. Now to my second point. When students wear the same uniforms, they begin to no longer feel the pressure to fit in. This is because this allows students to focus more on their schoolwork rather than social appearances. The article, Uniforms, Pros and Cons, states, with the constant pressure of school, students do not need added stress over the pressure to fit in, especially since schools nowadays are all about trying to get in the newest and most expensive things. Uniforms can help minimize and even solve this issue. So, Madam Chairman, in conclusion, uniforms should be implemented in schools everywhere so kids can have a safer and more comfortable education.
Good afternoon, Ms. Stoll, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is should schools require uniforms? We agree with the definition of the debate. However, we, the negative team, believe that this statement is false. Today, as the first speaker, I will be talking about how uniforms can go against laws and beliefs. Our second speaker will be talking about whether school uniforms make a difference in the first place. Our third speaker will rebuttal and sum up our team case. The first speaker has tried to tell you that it lessens violence. This is wrong because violence has nothing to do with how you dress. In fact, it might make it harder to find out who did something violent if everyone is wearing the same thing. She also said that there would be no more pressure for fitting in. This is wrong because looking like everyone doesn't make other people feel like they fit in. Fitting in is being accepted by other people, not wearing the same things as other people. I will be discussing 2 points. My first point is that school uniforms violate the First Amendment rights of kids. This is because wearing what you want is a part of freedom of speech, and if they ban clothes other than what you want to wear, that would take away their freedom of expression. Now to my second point is that it can go against someone's religion. This is because if someone's beliefs also affect how they dress, if they had a dress code, they wouldn't be able to dress accordingly. So, Ms. Stoll, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, school uniforms have no practical benefits to a student's academic performance or achievement and can be damaging in certain situations.
Good morning, Ms. Stoll. The topic of our debate is should schools enforce uniforms? We are the affirmative team and believe this statement is true. The first speaker from the negative team has tried to tell you that uniforms goes against laws, belief, and religion. This is wrong because the educational system is willing to change for a student's comfort and also has different options in place for you to choose from. She also said that it violates the First Amendment. This is wrong because the First Amendment states Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise. Schools have special adjustments in place for students who wear religious clothing. Our first speaker has already explained how school uniforms improve school safety by being able to pinpoint gang colors or clothing and outsiders who aren't meant to be in the school, and how they help kids focus more on schoolwork rather than being distracted by what you're wearing or what they're going to wear the next day. Today, I will be talking to you about how school uniforms improve attendance, change the school environment for the better, and increase school's pride. My first point is how school uniforms better students' attendance, including skipping class, tardiness, suspensions, and discipline referrals. This is because in the online article, School Uniforms and School Behaviors is their link. It states that there is some indication that low-income students in school that require uniforms demonstrated better school attendance. This is because school uniforms cause kids to take their studies more seriously, which can lead kids to be on time to class and be on time to school too. Now my second point, how school uniforms can change the school environment for the better. This is because it is argued that school uniforms may change the school environment, resulting in a shift reciprocal discrimination. This quote is from the School Uniforms and School Behaviors. Is there a link? School uniforms can change how kids react, improving the student body. According to school uniforms and students' behaviors, is there a link? Which can also lead administrators to like uniforms and cause school with uniforms to be seen as more secure and an orderly place. My third and final point is the idea that school uniforms can increase school pride. This is because the visual uniformity present across all students and instance in school pride has increased. Familiar as an athletic team uniform, proponents argue that dressing cohesively increases pride, unity, and renewed commitments to the school. The article Uniforms, Pros and Cons, when students feel like they're on the same team, they tend to act better towards each other, like a community, and that's more school pride. So, Ms. Stoll, in conclusion, uniforms have been proven to have positive effects, including increasing school pride, changing the school environment, and helping attendance. This evidence furthers our argument and proves that school uniforms should be used everywhere for a better school environment.
Awesome. Second negative speaker, you may take the floor.
Good afternoon, Ms. Stoll, ladies and gentlemen. The topic of our debate is, should schools require uniforms? We, the negative team, believe that this statement is false. The first speaker has tried to tell you how uniforms create a safe environment and produce better grades. This is wrong because even though you could argue there could be benefits like attendance, grades and overall willingness to work, but the educational leadership degree states that they have no direct effects on students. She also said that they help against bullying and discrimination. This is wrong because studies show that uniforms only decrease the act of bullying by 30%. Even though this number can be called substantial, that doesn't take into account the other 70% of people. And the act of bullying isn't only the category of clothes. Kids all around the world always get bullied, even though they have the same clothing on. Our first speaker has already stated whether uniforms go against the First Amendment and religion. Today I will be talking to you about 2 points. Now, my first point are whether school uniforms are beneficial to the students in the first place. The reason for this is because studies show that uniforms give little academic advantages, even the ones they have can be outweighed, and they can turn out to be more damaging than you think, because kids use clothes as a main way to express themselves, and when you take that away, it can hurt their sense of self because they can't distinguish themselves from others. Now to my second point, school uniforms expenses. This is because some families can't afford school uniforms, and in some situations they won't be able to give their kids proper education because of that. Even though some schools may give out a pair to kids in need, the schools themselves could use that money they spend on uniforms and direct it to more pressing matters like increasing wages for teachers and staff. You talk about uniforms as if they'll fix students' issues they have with the education system, and that week's worth of school uniforms isn't going to come in handy if there's no bus driver. But instead they're focusing on whether your socks are the same color as your shoe. So, Ms. Stoll, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, schools should take into consideration whether school uniforms are beneficial to students in the first place, and whether they can use that money they waste on them for good.
Good afternoon, Ms. Stoll. The topic for our debate is, should schools enforce uniforms? We, the affirmative team, believe that this statement is true. The first negative speaker has tried to tell you that it violates the First Amendment and might go against a student's beliefs or religion. This is wrong because the school system is willing to change for students' comfort and religion. In Australia, a school that requires uniforms, they changed for Sophie and Sophia. Students who wish they had the option to wear shorts, after she wrote to the school system, they sent a letter a few months later. She got a letter back saying they changed the policy. The second negative speaker has tried to tell you that uniforms are more expensive. This is wrong because in the video, school uniform bill, it states if money is available, the state will provide 5 sets of uniforms for every child on free or reduced free lunch. Our first speaker spoke to you about how uniforms help provide a safe environment for students and administrators because it is easier to tell which kids are in a gang by identifying certain colors or symbols, and can easily identify outsiders that pose a threat to the school. She also spoke about how school uniforms can help eliminate peer pressure of fitting in because when you wear all the same things, there isn't much of a competition to have the nicest clothes or the most current trends. Our second speaker told you that school uniforms can lead to better attendance and a better school environment. A better school environment can mean many things, but this is associated with less tardiness, fewer write-ups, dress codes, and more. She also said that they can increase school pride. This is because when sports teams wear the same uniform, there's a sense of community and a sense that everyone is on the same team, which is very similar to how uniforms are. So, Ms. Stoll, in conclusion, our team thinks uniforms should be used in schools everywhere. Uniforms have countless benefits and can help many problems schools can have, including school violence, skipped classes or tardiness, distractions, and more. So vote affirmative for a better school environment for students, teachers, administrators, and parents.
Good afternoon, Ms. Stoll. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic for our debate is should schools require uniforms? We, the negative team, believe that this statement is false. The first speaker has tried to tell you that school uniforms prevent gangs and intruders and also makes students feel less pressure to fit in. This is wrong because students can still form gangs. They don't necessarily need to wear specific clothes to show they're in a gang. And intruders could be the same and potentially have gone to the same school, so they could use an old uniform of theirs to fit in. To counter the second claim, students can still feel like they don't fit in. Just because everyone is wearing the same clothes doesn't mean they will necessarily fit in. They might be self-conscious about their body size and be upset seeing how the uniform may fit on them, so it can ruin their mentality. The second speaker has tried to tell you it improves student attendance and changes school environments. This is wrong because they don't really improve attendance at all. Just because you're in a different outfit doesn't mean you'll feel the need to be there when needed. It's just another school day dragging on. That's all. To deny the second claim, some students don't and won't change, school uniforms or not. People have a specific nature that they are used to, and if they bully, they most likely won't stop. The environment of a school comes to the students' actions. The third speaker has tried to tell you that uniforms make it easy to identify threats, help get rid of peer pressure, endorse a better school environment, and increases school pride. This is wrong because they can fit in with the requirements of the uniform and still could be a threat or in a gang. They don't have to specifically show out for them to be in one of the two. You can still feel peer pressure from school even with a school uniform. If you're self-conscious about any part of your body, then that just ruins the point of no peer pressure. Students don't necessarily bring a healthy school environment. It all comes down to the type of people in the school. Finally, it doesn't boost school pride as much as you think. School uniforms are just an outfit everyone wears at the same time. You can still support your school even without uniforms just by participating in events and prep rallies that include something from your school. You're helping increase the school pride. Our first speaker tried to tell you that school uniforms violate the First Amendment for kids. The reason being is that it limits the freedom they get to wear what they want. She also said that it can go against your religion. Some uniforms might go against what you're allowed to wear, and some schools have such strict dress codes that they might not allow it. Our second speaker tried to tell you that they aren't beneficial to students as much as they are thought. They don't really help any academically, and more of hurts they're learning to due to discomfort and all. He also stated that uniforms expenses hurt the cause because some families can't afford the uniforms due to situations they go through, and on top of that, they have to buy normal clothes to wear outside of school, which may lead to them not being able to attend school due to prices. So, Ms. Stoll, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, uniforms show no benefit to students. In fact, as we have shown, uniforms can actually do more harm in general.